Good morning, everyone. Good day, everyone. And welcome to the GEO-INPE Webinar. This is a webinar which is organized by the GEO Secretariat together with the Research and Development Group of the National Institute for Space Research to highlight Brazil's forest monitoring system. We are very thankful for those that have organized this webinar, and we'd like also to acknowledge the support of Global Forest Observation Initiative. It is my pleasure to welcome you today as Secretariat Director, and we hope that we're going to have a lot of time for discussions. So we have a lot of researchers attending this workshop. So welcome to you all from all over the globe, and we have allowed plenty of time for questions and answers. So thank you so much for attending, and we're hoping to interact with you. So it is now my pleasure to introduce, ask on behalf of INPE, to introduce Luis Aragão. Luis Aragão would be the motivator, but first he was going to give us the welcome on behalf of INPE, please. Dr. Aragão is the head of Earth Observation and Geoinformatics at INPE. He is a distinguished researcher with a long career on forest, understanding the tropical forests, and he has been authored a very large number of scientific papers. He is well recognized in the community, and he has an extensive commitment to not only the research, but the protection of tropical forests. Aragão, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, and probably good evening as well. It is a pleasure to moderate this session, and I thank the GEO Secretariat and INPE for inviting me to do this role. Today, we are going to have two talks. One about the PRODES system, talking about the history, operation, data dissemination, and use. The talk will be delivered by Dr. Claudio Almeida and Dr. Daniel Silva, followed by questions and discussion. Then we are going to have a short break of 5 minutes, and we'll call the next talk by Dr. Marcos Adami and Dr. Claudio Almeida that will focus on the DETER system, also trying to bring a little bit of the history of the system, the operation, data dissemination, and the use. I would like first to present Dr. Claudio Almeida, that will be delivering the first talk. Dr. Claudio Almeida is a senior technologist at the National Institute for Space Research, and previously to be in São José dos Campos, he was the head of the regional center of the Amazon, and then in 2018 he started coordinating the program for monitoring Amazon and other Brazilian biomes. He's an agronomist and focuses his work on land use, land cover change, and analysis of different landscapes affected by human intervention. Also, together with Dr. Claudio Almeida, we have Dr. Daniel Silva, that will be supporting him in the question and answer. Dr. Silva is a key player in the PRODES program. He's the technical manager. He's an ecologist, and since 2019 is helping with the development of the PRODES system, mainly focused on the production of these annual maps, developing new methodologies, and also using this data for research. So now I will pass the floor to Dr. Almeida to start his talk. You have about 20 minutes and then we start the questions. Thank you very much.
Hi, good morning and good afternoon or good evening for everyone. It's a pleasure to here to talk a little bit about the PRODES program. Before I start, I would thank GEO and GEO-INPE for giving the opportunity to show briefly the history of the PRODES, since the PRODES was born, and explain how forest monitoring is conducted today in Brazil. It's very important for us to bring information about the project to the community. First of all, we can talk about how the deforestation process started in the Amazon region. This process is very recent in the Amazon. The occupation started in the 15th when the government planned to integrate economically the Amazon region to the rest of the country. To reach this objective, the government opened roads, promote settlement and land concession, and adopt subsidized policies in order to develop the country. As a result, the population quickly increased, and between the 17th and the 18th, the occupation grew out of the country. As a result, a social condition in the region deteriorated, and forest degradation and deforestation rudely increased. In the end of the 18th, as Brazil preparing the ECO 92 and the signature of the Convention on Climate Change, a strong international pressure motivated by the forest protection concern places the Brazil at the center of the attention. As a result, the government understood that it would be a great importance to join knowledge about the Amazonian occupation process and the impacts on the environment. So the government requested to INPE to build a monitoring system, a monitoring program for the Amazon forest. The project was born in this moment. In this figure, you can see the difference between a region in Rurópolis inside the Pará state in 77 and the 87. The growing of deforestation in this region is marked by the fish-borne settlement. Here we talk about the PRODES methodology. PRODES is an incremental system that maps annual deforestation and integrates it to the total deforestation map. As we can see in this figure, on the left side of the figure, you can see a map in blue. Is the first image. In the first image, all polygons of deforestation is mapped and put on the map. The next image on the next year, we get an image of the same region and identify and map only the new deforestation. This is an incremental system, and we repeat this for all images of the Amazon every year. And this project is based in medium spatial resolution satellite images between 20 and 30 meters. For the Amazon region, we apply the historical minimum map limit of the 6.25 hectares. For the other biomes, Cerrado or others we work, now we work with a minimum area of 1 hectare. PRODES use visual interpretation by a multidisciplinary team with large experience on vegetation map and remote sensing tools. With our methodology, we have an accuracy estimated in more than 93%. You can find the complete methodology of PRODES on the link on this website. Let's talk about some aspects of the quality of PRODES data. To ensure the quality of our products, we have some key processes in the project, grouped in mapping process requirement, external validation, and transparency. I start by the mapping process. To cover entire Amazon, we need more than 200 plant images, and for each one, we identify the dry season. Mostly, the most part of this dry season of the image in July and August. when the deforestation is detection is improved by low cloud cover. We use visual interpretation by a multidisciplinary team, and we standardize the protocol and legends to work is equal for everyone. To improve the interpreter analysis, you use ancillary data like maps of vegetation, climate, soil, topography, and complementary image cities to better understand seasonal variation of vegetation and flooding. We also bring specialized knowledge of local and regional specifics that have been detected in the maps of the previous years, particularly in hard years. Auditing in PRODES is systematic and 100% of the observed area is checked by a senior professional with many years of experience. They are responsible to check of all of the mapped methods of deforestation, but they also investigate possible omissions. And the post-processing, this step is very important to check the consistency data and the respective rules of project. For instance, it's not possible to map new increments over prod mask or over cloud. I think Liga will present more details of this point in the Terra Amazon software presentation. And validation. For validation, use certified and random sampling with visual checking by external senior professionals. On this validation, normally we work on the serious data of Landsat and other images more resolution, than Planet or Sentinel. It's very important to check because with this validation, we can guarantee the quality of our data. And finally, the transparency. The transparency in our project is essential condition to hold quality, as anybody can check and use our data. All data in the deforestation statistics are available on the Terra Brasilis platform on the site location. To disseminate this data, use the Terra Brasilis platform that we will talk more. Here, only show two main environments. The map visualization on the left side of this data. On this site, you can see spatially split each polygon mapped by PRODES. And the deforestation statistics in table and graph format is available with some predefined parameters that can be changed to make your consult. On the right side, you can see a graph. You can make your consult directly on the Terra Brasil. The result of the PRODES in the Amazon show, we have an accumulated deforestation area of more than 800,000 square kilometers, which represents more than 20% of the total area of forest. On the first graph on the left side, we can see 2 special points. In 95, the great peaks of deforestation in red, when the deforestation is more than 29,000 square kilometers, and in green in 2012, the best results when less than 5,000 square kilometers is deforested in Amazon. The estimated deforestation rate in the last year was 11,000 square kilometers. In the second graph above, you can see in detail the recent increasing tendency on the last years. For example, in 2017, we have less than 7,000 square kilometers. Now we have more than 11,000 square kilometers. In the map, you can see the most of deforestation occur in the eastern and the southern areas, but they are now consolidated area of deforestation. This area is called arc of deforestation. The current tendency of deforestation is to expand in the direction of the central area of the Amazon, principally in the region of the Pará state. The center of the Pará state is a new frontier of deforestation, and the south of the Amazon too, near of the border with Rondônia. The PRODES started in the Amazon region, but today we work in all biomes of Brazil. For the Cerrado, the region of the Brazilian savannas, we start the experimental mapping in 2000. This project is supported by FIP, which is a forest investment program, and management by the World Bank. The occupation of the Cerrado started a long time ago, more or less 300 years, 300 years ago. From the south for the north, you can see on the map the south of Cerrado. It's completely, it's very deforested. It's not completely, but much more deforested than the north of Cerrado. When we started the monitoring in 2000, normally the deforestation is around 10,000 square kilometers by year. You can see on the graph. In the recent years, it is decreased to 6 or 7,000 square kilometers per year in the last years. However, this number is alarming because the area of Cerrado is the half of the Amazon region. The Amazon region, we have deforestation, it's 11,000 square kilometers. In the Cerrado region, we have 7,000 square kilometers. But the Amazon region, the Cerrado region is the half of the Amazon. And we have less than 50% of the original region of Cerrado remain preserved. Cerrado has today the high concentration of the agriculture production in Brazil, and the region called Mato Piba is represented by 4 states of Brazil: Maranhão, Tocantins, Piauí, and Bahia in the north of the Cerrado region. Is a new frontier of the deforestation in the Cerrado region. The process and the methodology applied to Cerrado, to PRODES Cerrado, is very similar the methodology of the Amazon region. Brazil is a very big country with great diversity in vegetation types. We have 6 biomes in the country. For the PRODES is operational, is functional and operational for the Amazon and the Cerrado. For the other 4 biomes, now we work and we have a project in progress. This project is called biomes and supported by the Amazon Fund. The Amazon Fund is the fund of the Brazilian Bank of Development. And we build the monitoring from 2004 to 2018 for the construction of the FREL, the Forest Reference Emission Level. And after 2019, we have an annual increment of net deforestation based on the PRODES methodology, same for the Cerrado and the Amazon. The data also started to be available on the Cerrado Service platform. On the PRODES project, we have now a great challenge, which is basically automatization of key process. Using multi-source data and integrating new techniques of deforestation detection. But the big challenge is definitively automatizing without reducing the quality. Today, our accuracy is more than 93%, and automated processes today don't have this accuracy. And for us, it's extremely important, this accuracy. And the other question is maintain and keeping the data compatible with historical series. These are crucial points as the national government has committed to reduce and control deforestation, with need explicit and measurable targets a long time. And so deforestation values need comparable to past data. That is why any change in product methodology has to be compatible with the historical series. We want to point out the importance of our data in the use of them. Until today, near to 1,300 papers have cited PRODES data in 400 peer-reviewed journals. On this graph, described, we can see the number of stations by years of the data of PRODES. And this number, it's very important. I put this to mark. It's very important. This number increased since 2004, when PRODES started open data dissemination. PRODES data are so used as the reference and compliance program of the economic channels. The established sale constraint for the soy and the meat. It produced common in the areas from deforested after 2008 in the Amazon region. Finally, PRODES data are used as the reference for the inspection of environmental agents that fight against the deforestation. Today, we have many users of the PRODES data, and the economic, and the academic, and the public policy. It's a data, it's not only for the government. Today, the PRODES data is a data for our country in many aspects. We'd like to thank you again, the GEO and GFR, for this opportunity to show some points of the PRODES project and identify potential partners to improve our methodology and adapt it to the other countries that need a national monitoring program. Thank you very much.
Claudio, thank you very much for the excellent presentation with this nice overview about the PRODES system. So now we are opening the session for questions. While people put their questions and we collect their questions from the chat, I would like to quickly make a question myself and then open to our public. So Claudio and Daniel, PRODES is a very interesting project that allows the monitoring of deforestation with open data, which is important for the verification of the results. And I would ask you, what is the potential for this system to be applied in other regions and countries, as Brazil is very heterogeneous, and the experience of mapping it for different types of vegetation is already developed. So I ask if there is a potential for expansion and sharing of this system with other countries.
Thank you, Aragão, for the questions. Yes, I believe it's completely possible to create a similar system and adapt our methodology for the other countries. In fact, we was training the people from the Congo Basin, for example, or the people from the Amazon Basin, the other countries of the Amazon Basin, to start monitoring using our methodology. I believe that the people of Congo, the RDC, create a system, it's Terra Congo, and they started monitoring the vegetation in the Congo using our methodology or similar our methodology. Our methodology is open, and as I show on my presentation, you can use for different types of vegetation. We use only open data and open software for constructing our Terra Amazon, Terra Brazil. Because of this, all parts of the world can use our methodology and apply this methodology in different types of vegetation. In Brazil, we monitor the forest, the savanna, and the Campos Sulinos, for instance. It's very different types of vegetation and use the similar methodology.
Okay, thank you very much, Claudio. It's great to see. I think there are people from almost all continents of the planet. And so now I will start to ask the questions from the public. So the first question is from Armando Alanis from Mexico's National Forest Commission. And he asks, Actually, he has two questions that I will put together here. He asks, what is the number of people working in the PRODES project, and how much of them are dedicated to visual interpretation? And then finally, what defines the minimal area of PRODES of 6.25 hectares, and why is different from the other biomes?
Okay.
I think oh, okay. You do you want to answer,
no.
Claude?
Daniel, so, okay. Let's go there.
I can answer this question. Hi, Armando. So in the PRODES project, we have between 10 and 20 specialists working specifically on interpretation and auditing in the PRODES project. This number can vary because we also work on other projects of monitoring forests, but the total number of contributors of PRODES, inclusive researchers of in project, so permanent or not, is higher than 30 people. You have made also another question about the minimal mapping unit. Yeah, okay, you can talk about it.
Okay. The minimum unit in the Amazon region is 6.25 hectares because when started the project in 1988, we use only imaging paper. In this time, we don't have a digital image. We start the project with photographed image, and the photograph is plotted on the scale 1 to 250,000, one per 250,000. In this scale, the minimal area mapping is 1 millimeter square, and 1 millimeter square in this scale is 62.62 and 62,050 square meters. Is equal 6.25 hectares. Because of this, because the compatible, the data now is need compatible with the data on the start of project. Because of this, we work with the same minimal area. But today, when we start the mapping of Cerrado and the other biomes, it's for using digital image, it's possible work with a minimal area of 1 hectare. Because of this, for the other biomes, he started more recently, and in these biomes, we use the digital data. On the Amazon, we use digital data too, but for the questions of compatibility of the data on the number of deforestation now and the number of deforestation on when he started the project, we continue to work of the 6.25 hectares.
Thank you,
Claudio.
Claudio.
I think I can add 2 points to answer this question. Is that in the other biomes where PRODES methodology are also applied, it makes sense to use reduced MMU of 1 hectare because of the non-forest phytophysiognomy, where the detection of vegetation removal is more difficult. And also we can talk about, in the PRODES project, in the PRODES methodology, we also have, we do map polygons lower than 6.25 hectares, but we only publish them when they grow and reach 6.25 hectares.
Okay, excellent. So we have another question from Marco from the Global Witness. So the question is, does 93% of accuracy means that just 7% of the polygons identified are false positive? In the case of false positive polygon, is there any process to engage with INPE to review the analysis?
Okay. When the people, the grade In fact, the great auditor of our data is the Brazilian producer, Brazilian agriculture, because they need the produce, they need the result of produce to sell your production, if meat or soy, for example. And because if have a deforested area in the property after 2008, this agriculture don't sell your production. When the people identify a false positive, normally they send this information for us, and we review the area. Okay, if positive is a false positive, we can make a correction and inform the production. But normally it's very low.
Okay, thank you. Another question from Sergio from Colombia. In the Amazon biome, do you know the causes of deforestation in the northeastern of Pará state?
The northeast of Pará state is, in fact, is an old area. It's a deforested area. It's the old colonization area. It's the region of Bragantina. The region of Bragantina have a very long, very long history of colonization, and normally it's a small property from of this region. Today, I don't know, we have a great new frontier of deforestation in this region. Normally, the great deforestation today in the region of the São Félix do Xingu, or in the region near of this, is principally for the expansion of the species of the animal creation in this region, the channel of meat.
Okay, Claudio, thank you. We have another question from Eik Rosenquist from Solo Earth Observation. He has two questions, but the first, I think, was already answered. That was about the availability of new Earth observation satellites with better resolution that would allow PRODES to go below the 6.25 hectares. That was answered, that it's mapped but not reported. And the second question is if there are any plans to map the land cover change history in the areas flagged as deforested. He says that it would be of key interest to know which ones that were left to regenerate, left to pasture, or turn to some other land use.
The first question is the question of historical compatibility, the historical study of GEO-INPE. We tried some new images, but we need to create a system to, if I change the image, for example, if I try work of the sentinel image with 10 meters of resolution, we need to create an equation, a modeling to understand how the deforestation now represents in the past. We need to make a comparison between the two systems, Landsat and Sentinel, or Landsat and the other image, to understand and how much more of deforestation I get using the new satellite. And the other question is about the deforested flag areas. On the PRODES, the objectives of the PRODES is only maps of new deforested areas, the suppression of the original forest. We have other projects on the Amazon program, the big program. We have other projects. It's called Terra Class. Terra Class is a partnership between INPE and Embrapa. And in the Terra Class, we look only for the deforested area. We get images for the historical series and map the use of these areas after deforestation. These are used for agriculture, the other is in regeneration, the other is mining, for the use of this land after deforestation. But it's naked on the Terra class project.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you, Claude.
Reese, would you allow me to say two things about accuracy on PRODES and precision, if I may, because
Yes,
I
of
think it's
course.
okay. There are two issues which are extremely important and should be thinking of it. The first one is PRODES is very conservative. In other words, it tries to keep false positives to very low. In other words, means that if we flag an area as deforested, we are pretty sure it is. And actually, the ratio of false positives is 1.5%. So this is one important thing because we have to assure that the law enforcement actions that result from PRODES are target really the bad guys, those that do illegal deforestation, and the politically very sensitive data set. So we can, that is one of the reasons why we still have visual interpretation, because on automatic interpretation, we could not guarantee such a conservative approach. The other point here is we don't look in PRODES to secondary vegetation. This is very important for countries who are trying to do mapping. And we have seen this a lot and a lot. So PRODES has started with a baseline in 1988 of what was natural pristine forest by then. And then it keeps track of the removal of pristine forest and whether that forest has been abandoned and turned into secondary vegetation is not included in the PRODES accounting for many reasons. First of all, these are not pristine forests to start with. Second, these secondary vegetation areas are very prone to later removal because of speculation. Now, unfortunately, many other mapping activities like Global Forest Watch, because they rely only on remote sensing and they don't have a baseline as careful as the one designed by PRODES, they actually include secondary vegetation in their assessments of deforestation from one year to the next. So this is an important lesson to all of you. If you want to deal with, you need to split what is primary forest and what is the removal, and don't mix secondary vegetation with primary vegetation in your assessment. And this is a very important lesson for many years of PRODES. Thank you.
Thank you, Gilberto, for the considerations. I think I will leave a suggestion for our next meeting to discuss what is happening in these deforested areas and what are the implications. I think would be very interesting also to discuss this point. So we have other questions. Another one from Iqbal Habibi from BPPT Indonesia. That asks where can we find the PRODES data and the resolution. So maybe I would ask for PRODES people to put the address in the chat to help Iqbal to find the data in full resolution and download the maps. I think it would be easier. Then Masru Hussein from PCI Geomatics asks, what are the main problems that the PRODES project faces in automation to automate the process even more?
The big problem is, Gilberto saying, is the false positive. For the automated system, we don't have accuracy more than 85, 86%. We have great numbers of the false positive. And after you mapping by automated, you need check for every polygon of the same the on the visual interpretation to check is a deforestation or a false positive. Because of this, we double our work. We need to classify and we need to recheck all polygons of appointed by the automated system. This is a great problem today.
Okay, thank you. Just to remind Sarah, if my time is going with the questions, please interrupt me whenever you feel the time is gone. Now a question from Ricardo Abadi. Hi, Ricardo. Great to hear from you. So asking when we expect to have data from the Amazon One satellite.
The people know the launch of the Amazon One is in 28th of February. After this, normally we need around 6 months to test our system, the satellite, they make a first image, and we believe after this, in the end of this year, this image is available for all people. It's our expected. I will expect it in the end of the year. The Amazon images is available for us.
Okay, thank you. So another question from Ilana Aldred. So she asks if you have defined a percentage of thematic reliability for your products. I think she's asking about the accuracy of the product.
I don't understand very well the question.
What is the mean accuracy of the PRODES product? I think is the question.
Okay. On the last test we need, this accuracy is more higher than 93% of the polygon.
Claudio, let me compliment. This is not again, stress, this is not the accuracy. This is not a research product. So the important number here is not the accuracy overall, but the number of false positives. Yes. Remember that a bad number of false positives will, farmer will talk to his representative in the Congress, and the representative in the Congress will tell INPE is good for nothing. So the important number is the number of false positives, which is 1.5%. This is the key number. Because if you want to do public policy, the global accuracy is not the most important number. It's the number that has to do with the law enforcement and that affects people. That's the crucial number.
Yes.
And that's the number we need to keep very low.
Yes, because I show in presentation, the PRODES data today is more than for the estimate of the carbon emission. We started with this. But today we have other users for the PRODES data, and the principle for the questions about the fiscalization by IBAMA or by the Secretary of Environment. The people use this data to make a compliance for the meat producer, for the soy producer, and because of this, the false positives, it's a big problem on the data PRODES.
Okay, so another question from Letícia Guimarães from UNDP. So she's asking, in tracking these areas of deforestation under 6.25 hectare, till it reaches this threshold and is included in PRODES, what is the significance of these areas? So I think basically she wants to know what's the percentage contribution of these areas to the total deforestation that is measured by PRODES. And then the other question is if this data of polygons under 6.25 hectares are publicly available.
Not, in fact, the public data, it's only more than 6.25 hectares. The polygons under 6.25, it's only on our database. It's because it's not a polygon of the methodology of PRODES. It's only for us and for our information. But the number of the polygons uh, under 10 hectares, for example, for instance, it's very high. We have many polygons, but the area of this polygon, it's very low. Normally, it's under 5% of this the polygon. Then you make this number better. We can talk about
Yeah,
this.
it's more or less than 5%. I would say 3 or 4% of the total accumulated
Yes.
deforestation in the PRODES project.
Yes, and for the Amazon region, normally the deforestation is very higher than this. For instance, for the para states, the mean of deforestation in 2019 is 18 hectares. The mean of deforested area on the para states. Because of this, this reference 6.25, it's not very important for the global number of deforestation.
Okay, thank you. So just to let you know, we are 128 people here. So a lot of people interested in deforestation and trying to solve a very pressing issue to improve the quality of life in our planet. So another question from Edenise Garcia from Nature Conservancy. So she asks about the plans to continue with the Terra Class project and how it differs from the map biomes product that is already out.
Okay. Yes, we have planned. We restarted, in fact, Terra Class. The last edition of Terra Class is 2014. And now we get new money from the government to restart the Terra Class project. And we start the project in this year, and I believe in March or April, we restart the project. And on this money, we make the edition of 2018, 2020, 21, and 22. We have more 3 years of projects on the Terra Class project. The big difference between Terra Class and map biomes, on Terra Class we have more classes than map biomes. Map biomes, for instance, don't separate the pasture class or the others. On the Terra Class, we separate the pasture class in minimum two class. And you have other class you don't have in map biomes. And the other questions that map biomes work is the collection. We reprocess every year. They identify a new technique or something like this, and reprocessing all series in reconstruction the series. And the Terra Class, we have same data for all, because we work as visual. We work with visual station, similar on the PRODES. All polygons of Terra Class is inspected visually by expert. Because of this, we guarantee the quality of this system, and we don't need to reprocess this data.
Okay, thank you, Claudio. Before I go to the next question, I would like to ask my colleagues to put in the chat the name of the land use product, so the name of the PRODES and where to get it, because he wasn't able to get it from the presentation. So Leticia from UNDP's has another question here. asking when will the mapping of the other biomes outside the Amazon and Cerrado be finalized and published?
I already answered this question in the chat, but maybe we can, is 2022 the provision to conclude the biomes project.
Now it's available the data at 2016 for all biomes today. You can find on the Terra Brasilis page. You can find the data of 2016, and now we work to put the complete series just to 2022.
Okay, so Johannes Reich also has a question about asking if the primary forest baseline layer from Brazil is available.
And 2022, when the biomes is complete, we have a complete layer of the forest of Brazil.
Yeah, okay, because I also think that this question was conceived thinking about the baseline layer for the Amazon, for example, the old PRODES data.
Okay. The old PRODES, we have a question because in 2014, the Landsat, the USGS make a change in the Landsat correction system. And the old data is not in the same position of the data, the actual data. Because of this, in fact, we create a great accumulated data from 2008, before 2008 in one class, and we're reprocessing the scenes from 2009, after 2009 to this data is available. Technically, it's possible, but we need money and we need time to reprocessing the data before 2008.
Okay, thank you, Claudio. I think we may have last question. Is that fine, Sarah, to have this last question? So it's about the experience of the visual interpreters. So Armando Alanis from National Forest Commission from Mexico, good participation, asking a lot of questions. So asks, how many years is the average experience of the visual interpreters?
Yeah, well, I already answered to Armando by the chat. It's very difficult to talk about an average because we have different profiles, but the range might be between 5 to 15 years of experience in vegetation monitoring, remote sensing, and detection of deforestation. It's very variable, but all the operators have a great experience in that field.
Okay.
And more than the time of experience, I believe is the knowledge about the vegetation of the region is more important. If the guys go to the field, the guys know the vegetation of this region, they have a work better than one guy with much more experience but don't know the field. The field work is very, very important to improve the quality of the interpreter.
Okay, thank you, Claudio. I think our time is gone. I thank everybody that have asked the questions. I think it's always very important to debate about this topic and try to find the answers, to be able to compare data across different countries and find out about the limitations and also all the possibilities that can be developed based on these data sets. So for now, I will now call a break of 5 minutes So we can now restart the session. So now we are going to have a presentation from Dr. Marcus Adami. It's my colleague from INPE. Marcus has been working on agriculture and yield forecasts since graduating, so a long time. Now he's focusing on land cover and land use change analysis and trying to understand their drivers and impact. So Dr. Adami will, together with Dr. Claudio, do the presentation on the DETER project. Next, please. And Marcus, now the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this amazing introduction, Aragon, and how about my age? Something like that is really amazing. And thank you, the GEOs, to having me here, and thank you, everyone, to be hearing me. I'm so glad to be here. The third project, I will talk a little bit about this, is try to provide data to stop deforestation. That it's amazing. And could you please go to the next? As we can see, we try to do as best as we can to stop deforestation. And it's depend on when the forest degradation and deforestation can be detected. As you see Claudio talking, PRODES just can't get the data when the forest is not more there. There is a clear cut. It's bare soil. There is nothing left. But in DETER, we try to get, since the intense log or when the canopy loss is higher than 50%, and we try to put all this information in our system to provide the data to try to stop deforestation. And as DETER is a project very close to the PRODES project. And in 2004, when it happens, the second highest rate of deforestation next, it was started the PPCDAM program. The PPCDAM is a Brazilian plan to combat deforestation in Amazon. And in this time, they needed a system to provide the data for IBAMA to stop deforestation. And then Liana was doing her master's degree at the INPE, and she had this amazing idea using MODIS data. And she showed that it's possible to use daily images to obtain the deforestation in near real time. And she produced this very good paper about the DETER data and showing that it's possible to use MODIS data to avoid deforestation. And in that time, next, please. And in that time, between 2004 and 2017, when this MODIS was operated, they used MODIS 09 daily images, and they applied the linear mystery model. And as PRODES, they do a visual interpretation, but they had just one class, just alert. It was sent to environmental police every day. When they get this image, they process, they obtain this polygon, and they share this polygon to the environmental police. And after some days, it was opened in the internet, following the INPE idea to share data for everyone. And for everyone, this data was open. So since we start to operate the DETER, the deforestators learn for us. As you can see in this graphic, the importance of the small polygons less than 25 or less than 50 hectares becomes great, becomes so important. Uh, in 2003, before 2004, maybe we can say that before 2006, it's less than 50% of the PRODES data is less than 50 hectares. But with the DETER operation, they learned uh, that they're using MODIS data just can see polygons bigger than 50 hectares. So they start to do, as we called, deforestation in puxadinho. That is a small area along the deforestation that is cut. It's like 50 meters and 1,000 kilometers far. It's just a small area, and then they don't get this area using the modes data. So they learn for us, and we learn for them. We need to improve our system. Then we start to see that it is happening, and we start to use another kind of data. This is not daily covered on Amazon, but it's every 4 or every 5 or every 6 days, and we increase our resolution. This is an example of the difference between DETER, as they can see in using MODIS data here, and the new DETER using AWIFs from ResearchSat that it was used when the DETER started in 2015, and WFE from Cybers 4 image with 64 meters image that is using nowadays. You see the gain of this resolution and how we operate it. So we follow the same idea that the PRODES and the DETER when it start using the visual interpretation, because inclusion errors cause a lot of cost. Imagine that we send a team of environmental policies to somewhere in Amazon. It's like 3 or 4 days, maybe more than that, and to visit a place that nothing happened. So the cost of this is so high. So we get these images, we convert them to a linear mixture model because the deforestation and degradation become more clear for the photo interpreters. And then we do the classification using 8 classes based on visual interest. I'm talking about the 8 classes. So we have 8 classes, clear cut or deforestation. We got in this, as you see, as it can be saw by satellite images using near infrared in the green, and then in soil fraction, and then from the field. And differently from PRODES, we can get some deforestation where the underground vegetation grows, like some herbaceous and some shrubs. And this is, as can we see, using satellite images in soil fraction and in the field. Also, we have the class that we call mining, that is related to mining along the rivers, very small pods that the people are doing mining. And we have some degradation classes that is called degradation. No one knows what's happened there, but we saw in the image that is a degradation. Also, we have the burn scars, and we can clearly see this in the soil fraction. And we divide the selective logging in 2 types, called ordered and not ordered. And these 2 types sometimes meaning that when it's ordered, they follow a plan, they probably have some license to open this area. And what this, the first type that is not ordered, it seems to us that it's something it's not legal happening, but we're not sure about that. So this is a good example done by Lubia equipped, Lubia team, that show how does the DETER map everyday images about this deforestation. As you can see, we use the PRODES data here, showing us that there is no deforestation in the first image. And in the second image, that there May 8th, we can see the first opening here, and it's classified as deforestation. And then in this next image, we can saw this area is growing, and then growing, and we can saw this that PRODES confirm our data in the next year. So since 2014, this, but actually since 2004, all polygons were shared and sent to IBAMA, and all polygons in the internet. But this new version from the DETER, since 2014, all polygons greater than 3 hectares have been sent to IBAMA and put it on the internet for everyone having access to it. The address where you can access this data is in Terra Brasilis as PRODES, is in the same web page. We can access all polygons there. And also we can have some statistics about the polygons that is done by Terra Brasilis too, to allow you to have a quick analysis about how it's growing, how it is doing, and how much it was done in this certain period. Next. And this is an evaluation done by Fritz et al., published in Science, and showing that our data, it's more than 70, let's see, 75% of accuracy. And but we are doing some evaluation that's not just measuring the deforestation, but all classes. And in this case, they just see a false positive. We are looking for false negatives too. The data is not published yet, but it's showing us that nowadays is around 82–85%. The data are using the visual, the optical images. And then the issue that we have is the cloud cover. As you can see in this graph, the most part of period where the Amazon is covered by clouds, we don't have a lot of polygons. But in this time, when there are a lot of rain, the deforestation is not so high as during the dry season. And because of this issue, we are trying to work with Sentinel-1 radar image. So this image doesn't have a lot of clouds influence, but some case and some cumulus nimbus images, it's showed in this radar image, but it's good for clear-cut deforestation. As you can see in this red polygon and the left side of this image, it's clear to see the clear cut. But when the deforestation has some background, it's become a little quite difficult to get this deforestation as deforestation, and we need more processing to get this one well. Here is an example of selective logging, and this class, it's not well get for the radar. And here is about the burn scar. And also this is need more processing for get this burning scar as well as selective logging. And here in the middle, we can see the degradation, and the degradation is very hard. as well as selective logging. So the radar is very useful. The radar is good, but some classes need to be more uh, developed, and the technologies need to be improved to provide the data. But for selective log, for clear cut and very, I would say, strong burn, maybe they got this, or maybe some uh, degradation, but the other class is difficult for a radar. So also we need to improve this the oh Jesus Christ spatial resolution, and now with Sentinel-2 and Landsat, they can be merged together and provide a bigger view of the deforestation. We could try to do that. We should try. Thank you so much, and I hope you understand my very bad English, and I hope that we have some question here. I'm so glad to answer that, and Claudio can help me.
Thank you, Marcos. It was great. Very informative presentation. And I ask people to start putting their questions in the chat. We are going to be collecting these questions. And while we do it, I will make a very quick general question to try to understand a little bit more about the use of the DETER data. We know that this is critical for law enforcement in Brazil. And my initial question is about how this data is used for law enforcement and how INPE share this data. Is only with IBAMA, there are more people that are allowed to receive this data at near real time. And I would like to hear a little bit more about this participation of INPE in the sharing of data with the authorities that really do the law enforcement in Brazil.
I just started I would say for the beginning, for the first question, that there is a work from Assunção 2014 or 15, I don't remember well the date of this work, but he showed that measured or combined the their data and law enforcement have reduced a lot of the deforestation in Amazon. This drop of the deforestation curve that happened between 2004 to 2012 was done by this integration between the DETER and the law enforcement policy. So this data was published for everyone near real time. But IBAMA had observed some communication saying that the people that is doing deforestation are getting information from the DETER, and they communicate for the people that are doing deforestation, say, go off there. Probably IBAMA is going there because they did get your polygon. And then because of that, they asked the INPE to get this data just for them as near real time. And then after 7 days or 5 days, I'm not sure about this time, it's open for everyone. And also, it's not just for IBAMA, it's also sent to some environmental state agencies that have at the same time that IBAMA. They can ask Claudio and send him an email asking, everyone can ask this information to have this information in real time. He can provide the access to this data.
Thank you, Marco.
Luis, can I just compliment and give
Yes,
a broader
please.
picture? So what happened is that between 2003 and 2013, there was a clear sense of the Brazilian government that deforestation was something that needed to be cut and the legal actions needed to be taken action. And the data from the DETER system was instrumental in providing support for operations. So what we talk about an operation, what we're talking about is a massive undertaking by the Environmental Protection Agency together with the police, the federal police, which actually lands in a place where the illegal deforestation is taking place. And then at that point, actually can, because of the law allows, to confiscate all of the equipment and to burn the equipment, which in many cases is very, very costly. So what happened was there was a strong push to punish those that were doing illegal actions in the Amazon. And this push actually led to a massive drop of deforestation. So the Environmental Protection Agency had the information from INPE where the illegal actions are taking place, but we have to recognize that that information is only the basis for the action. So the system doesn't work by itself, but the simple fact that the data is available, it's a fundamental that the data is available. There must be, the government should be willing to do it. Now, the other point here of making the DETER data available is that everything being fully public, there is a growth in public awareness of the journals. So data from INPE is featured on the major newspapers, on the major televisions. So the population is aware that a lot of action is taking place. And for that matter, having daily alerts, which are then, of course, updated on that, and you can have it by last week, by last month. It's very important for the public to get a sense of what the government is doing and is not doing. So the merit of the DETER system is that it allows a real-time control and allows a real-time sense by the population, by the public opinion, about if the government is acting or not acting on behalf of the Amazon.
Thank you, Gilberto. So I think we have, would you like to comment something, Claudio?
The question is about the time of the delay of the public data. We work every Friday. We open the data of the next week for the people. Normally, we have 1 week between the IBAMA receive the data and all people receive the data. IBAMA receives data every day. I work, and the end of the day, we send the data for IBAMA. In fact, the database of IBAMA is directly connected with our database. We don't need to send a data. They receive it directly. And for the other guys, for the newspaper or the system in general, every Friday, we open the data of the last week.
Okay, thank you very much. It was good to know the flow of the information to treat deforestation problem in Brazil. And there is a question that is related to it from Sérgio Mauricio Molano from the Federal University of Pará. He says that deforestation is increasing, has an increased trend in the last years in Brazil, and is asking how is Brazil dealing with this issue?
In the questions of deforestation in Brazil, the INPE is responsible by mapping and send the information for the agents of fiscalization, say IBAMA or the secretaries of environment, the state of secretary of environment. We don't need more than this. We can make the deforestation polygons, send this for the IBAMA, and open this data for the all society. The other responsibility of the fiscalization and the other things is responsibility for the other institutions. It's not for INPE responsibility. I don't talk about this, the other institution.
Okay, perfect, Claudio. Thank you. So now we have another question from Laurent Durier. He's asking if this methodology is shared with other countries in the Amazon and other tropical regions, such as the Congo Basin.
Hi, Laurent. It's a great pleasure to talk with you. Laurent is my advisor in my PhD. It's a great pleasure. Yes, we can share our methodology. In fact, I talk on my presentation of PRODES is similar to DETER. We share our methodology with many countries in all parts of the world. We training all countries of the Congo Basin and the Amazon Basin too, to implement our own system of monitoring.
It's important to add that we use free software and free images. So it's all available, and all softwares that we use is available too. We don't need the money. We just need a good internet connection to do this work.
Okay.
For getting the software and getting the image. Of course, and we need the money to rent to pay people that is doing this work.
Thank you, Marcos. Thank you, Claudio. So now Flavia Mendes. Oi, Flavia. Great to see you here. So she has a question about the methods used for the test. So she asked if you have used textures to detect burn scars, degradation, and selective logging. So she says that she have done some tests and it worked. So she would love to talk to you guys to discuss this methodology. Can you develop a little bit about the texture features in the images to detect degradation?
A little bit. I'm not a specialist in radar as Flavia. So Flavia, nice to hear from you. But we need to send the polygons as soon as possible to biomes. So for working with some texture and degradation, we need to process at least 2 or 3 images to have this very well done, and like it will be taking something around maybe at least a month to have these polygons with degradation. That is good. But we need to improve our methodology. It's nice to hear from her about her methodology, about how we can improve this in our system.
Okay, thank you very much. So we keep going. People are very active here in the questions, so let's try to answer most of them. And if we don't have time, we can just reply to the questions in the chat. So René Bleuch from JRC. Hi, René. He's asking if INPE is planning to have a PRODES-like statistics and maps of early consolidated information on forest degradation, like forest fire and selective logging. So use the DETER data to consolidate it throughout the year and generate a PRODES-like product on degradation. And if this is a yes answer, when will this data be available?
This is for my boss. Claudio, please.
In fact, the data of the degradation is open on the Terra Brasilis platform. The people can get this and make the statistics. We don't prepare a specific report about this, but this data is open. I'm I believe it's necessary work on this and prepare a specific report about this.
That is a great idea. Thank you, Rene,
Thank you.
for
Yes.
giving
Yes.
us this.
Okay, thank you very much. Another question from Maria Sugrin. So she asks about the PPCDAN, and she asks how effective was the PPCDAN plan?
The PPCDAN was effective, and I think that I saw here in this chat the yes. Lubia shared this publication about land use, land policies, talking about the effectiveness of PPCDAN. And who is the authors? It's West and Fernside.
Yes. And the publication of assumption you talk a little bit. It's talk a little bit about this, the importance of the DETER and the PPCDAN on the control of deforestation. The experience of PPCDAN between 2008 and 2012, it's very clear of the importance of policy government to control of the deforestation. We need to control deforestation. We need economic policy to cut, for instance, cut credits for deforestation for the farmers with illegal deforestations, and we need a command control. The people go to the field and make fiscalization, apply peanuts on the illegal deforestation.
The fines.
Thank you, Claudio. Would you like to complement, Marcos?
No.
Oh, that's fine. Okay. So I will go to Sergio Mauricio again from Federal University of Pará. Another question. So he asks if we can complement Sentinel radar data with other instruments like ALUS pulsar, which is L-band and with horizontal polarization, which is better to access vegetation.
Yes, sure, but it needs to be freely available, and also it needs to be able for us as soon as possible. So we need these two compromise, right? Freely and as soon as satellite cover this area, we need to receive this image, like no more than 3 or 4 days after that. Also, L-band is great for detection of deforestation, degradation.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm compliment a little bit. Yeah, the radar is a great image to cloud periods. But now, in fact, on the Amazon region, for instance, the bad monthly is December and January. We have around 30% of this area is covered, it's completely covered during every month. 70% we can have only the minimal 1 or 2 observer time of this area using the optical data. Then the cloud, in fact, it's not a great problem for the DETER system. Today we have in fact two covered with WFE images. We have a WFE on the Sibers 4 and 4A with 2 satellites. We have one image for the region, it's 2 or 3 days, and with covered in many times by months, 10 or 15 times by month. It's possible to cover the most part of the region.
Okay, thank you, Claudio. So another question from Lohan. He asks, how do you store and save all this data and products? And how do you plan to manage these database with the arrival of even more data like Sentinel-1? I think part of this question can be answered tomorrow by Lubia.
Yeah.
But please.
In fact, really, I prefer Lubia talk about this, but it's a great question because we need more and more space. We start work a little test on the clouds. Lubia, you can talk about this a little bit.
Yes. Well, first of all, if you're talking about the resulting data, it will be managed by INPE, like the maps and the statistics and the vector data and etc. We have a little infrastructure. We have some infrastructure to maintain it currently, and we will be maintaining that. About the images, we do have some experience in running a data center. We do it for our own missions like CBERS-4 and CBERS in etc. And then we will continue to support this, the storage and the maintenance of the image data. I suggest you to see the presentation tomorrow about the Brazil Data Cube, because in this great project, Karine will show how we are making this data more analysis ready and ready to be used for people outside INPE. On the other front, we have an agreement with the Union European that INPE intends to be the mirror data site for Sentinel. We are just starting to working on that. We have already the system being installed here at INPE, so we will be the local hub for the Sentinel data. I know it's a lot of data. We are discussing that at the level of the ministry and at the Brazil and the other actors in the country to support the maintenance of this data here, this infrastructure here. And so to summarize, at this point, INPE is working to be this infrastructure, this research infrastructure, to have this data here, and to serve it to the community, the local community, the Brazilian community, and also for, of course, for these projects, the projects that are doing with deforestation. But don't miss the presentation on the Brazil Data Cube tomorrow, okay?
Thank you, Lubia, for your help. It was great. So another question from Destin Lokena, asking how you define the forest degradation visual interpretation.
Oh, this is $1 million question, huh? To have very well defined which is the forest degradation. There is a paper from, and also Aragon is part of this paper, from, what her name, from University of Brasilia? I forgot.
Camila?
No,
Mercedes Bustamante.
Mercedes Bustamante, that tried to define what is degradation and how we can get this from satellite images. But we have some interpretation keys that our spot inters follow to try to get as better as possible, as better as possible to okay. Try to get this degradation.
Thank you, Marcos. So Angie Udi from the University of Jena, thanks the presentation, and have a question about radar, asking, well, first affirming that Sentinel-1 has a short wavelength that could be an issue for detecting deforestation, so this is a correct problem, and ask if we are already gathering experience using longer wavelengths like L-band and P-band to be prepared for the upcoming data products from missions such as biomass or NISAR, and test what algorithms could be useful.
Yes, so as I said, it needs to be available freely, right? We need to have this access to these images as soon as possible. So if there is some satellites that provide this image freely for us, we will use it, right? And we in the there we will not try to get this information as biomass, and because I think that the most important is provide these tools or provide the polygons to the environmental policies to avoid deforestation.
So one thing I complement a little bit. One thing important in the people understand is that DETER and PRODES too. It's very operational. We need we need to make and find polygons every day. Because of this, we need open data, and we need data is available in the near of the real time. Because of this, the L-band and the other satellites sometimes it's not it's not possible use for the operational systems.
Thank you, Claudio. Just to complement very quickly, in INPE, we have a group dealing with radar with large experience with L-band, P-band, and X-band, and everything that exists in terms of radar data we explore. But as Claudio said, the critical issue is to be able to put these techniques operational for the two systems. So a question from Eike Rosenquist from Solo Earth Observation. He thanks the presentation and asks about to include mangroves in the DETER system. There are any plans to include mangroves in the DETER system to monitor it?
Yes, in fact, we start now the mapping of no forest area. When the PRODES and the PRODES started, the preoccupation is only about the forest. The areas is the vegetation, it's the typical savanna or typical mangrove, it's out of the PRODES. But now we start the mapping of these areas. I hope just in the May or July, we present the first map of deforestation of the no forest in the Amazon region. And with this map, it's okay, this map is fine, we can enter this area on the DETER system.
Thank you, Claudio. I think we have time for a last question. Okay, so I think they will be able to answer it very quickly. So, because I think this question is quite interesting. It's from Sophie Flack-Prain from Natural Capital Research, and asking first, saying the context, like giving the impact of cloud cover on detection, do you see any spatial trends in detection rate? For example, higher detection in lower rainfall regions, or this is confounded by such regions having known higher clearance rates from field data?
I think that we saw in that there is no how can I say that? But during the cloud season is not the same in all Amazon at the same time, right? It varies a little bit from north, from south, and when it happened the dry season, we can get this special distribution of the deforestation. And every day we are looking at the Amazon, and even there is an image that is 80% of covered by clouds, but there is a space on that is not covered, we look at this space. So there is, I think that the clouds doesn't have influence if you analyze like a year data of the spatial distribution of our detection, right? Maybe we cannot detect some areas during some period because like Amapá state or Bragantine region in Pará during this cloud period because it's a lot of clouds. TCZ influence in this region a lot. So, but when we have some images that is opening there, we can solve some deforestation, we map it. Claudio, do you want to complement? Or
No, it's okay. It's okay.
So thank you very much. We should now close the questions. All the other questions, if my colleagues could answer it through the chat, would be great. And now I think we need to go for the closing of the session. So I would like first to thank a lot for the participation of the public. And Sarah is telling me that we may have still another 5 minutes. Is that correct, Sarah? Okay. So before closing, should we are going to ask another question from Tremolo Marie from UNDP, asking if INPE have some cooperation with French Guiana in spatial monitoring of deforestation. So last question to close the session.
Okay. Tremol, in fact, we don't have official cooperation between Brazil and French Guiana. Sometimes we exchange data and sometimes we try work together, but not official cooperation between Brazil and French Guiana. In French Guiana, in fact, we don't have much deforestation. We have a problem with gold mine, illegal gold mine. It's very specific question, and they use sometimes Sentinel or other images to find this.
Okay, so thank you very much. So now I think we can go for the closing of this session. First of all, thank you for the public that made this meeting very dynamic, and it was great to debate about all these concepts and methodologies involved in PRODES and DETER systems. I thank also Claudio, Marcos, and Daniel for their contribution to present their work and the work that INPE is developing to cope with deforestation issue. And to close quickly, I would like to say that this data is critical not only for Brazil, but I think for the whole world as a basis for our monitoring of environmental crimes and the environmental managing. And we need this type of data really for managing our territory and be able to follow the pathways of sustainable development. So PRODES and DETER data are one of the different data sets that exist that allowed us to do the full carbon accounting. So probably the next step of these collaboration or these programs will be to go for the full carbon accounting directly from these programs. They are critical for REDD+ reporting as well and verification, and we must improve and keep developing this product. We can see from the questions that is an open field of research, so there are space for more research and more international and national collaboration for the development of this data set. And finally, I think the countries and nations should be unified towards the implantation and implementation of systems that can cope with this massive problem that we see nowadays, for being able to cope with the sustainable development goals. That is what will really lead us to the next step of development in the globe. So thank you very much. And I hope everybody has enjoyed the meeting, and we wait for you tomorrow for more discussions. Now I pass the word to Gilberto Câmara to close the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Luis. And first of all, my thanks to you for being an excellent moderator. I'd like to thank all of the speakers for doing a very good job. I'd like to, of course, thank all the audience. You've been very, very attentive, lots of questions, more than 100 people attending. So this was a great success for GEO. And if there was a success, it was because we have two key people on the background who are pulling all the shops and making sure things work well, and which are Rick Byans and Sarah Venturini. So I think we all should thank very much there for a job well done. I mean, I'm privileged in the GEO Secretariat Director. I don't work very much. I have a team that works. So I wish all jobs I had would be so nice. So thank you very, very much. And we all see you tomorrow for the continuation. I think it's been a wonderful experience having you with us today. See you tomorrow.